All right. So yesterday we had a lot of discussion. We have so many topics and so little time. But we're going to touch all these. There were excuse me, group policies we were talking about, groups we talked about, organizational units, but we still have group policies section. So I had some slides for rule of thumb or just the main information available, which we can go through and then go ahead with all the other major topics. So I could just draw the scenarios for all the topics we have done. So here we have in group policy GPM-C and GPM-E, which are group policy management console. We have an editor. So editor is where we do the selection of policies and apply and double click and apply the policy. And this is the console. I'm just going to go there. Group policies in SysWall. So all the group policies that are available that we create are actually placed in SysWall. We saw that in the in our lab for group policy as well. So I'm just going for GPM-C here. Group policy management comes from tools, and then we can just go and see the editor. Where's the editor? If any of the policies right clicked and clicked edit, which is not available for some reason. Okay, so I'll just oh, this guy is test user 2. This is not an administrator, so I'm just going to log off, log in. But I can just try another policy to right click that. Oh yeah, this guy is a test user 2. Yeah, test user 2. Although this guy is an administrator, but somehow this user has no powers to. So just I'm just gonna go back with administrator. Rare 5. And so this is administrator logged in. I'll just quickly go to tools and show the GPM-C, group policy management, and then any policy when we try to right click and edit, it's the editor that opens where we can configure policies. Yesterday we were talking about policies and preferences. There's a table that I created just to give an overview of the difference. But let's go for the, if we want to know that this policy, where is this policy placed in SysWall? SysWall is the central repository, right? So okay, this is written. Everyone has written that. So right. Yeah.
The domain is created, right?
Yeah.
Domain, default domain policy and default domain controller policies.
Yeah.
Come into existence, right?
Yeah. They're by default. Yeah. By Microsoft.
So what are their uses?
So domain policy has some. So this is the domain policy.
Yeah.
And what have they implemented there is in detail here. Just the security settings for the whole domain, and account policies are configured here. Password, as per Microsoft, it should be password history should be implemented, and age should be implemented. 7 character length should be. We can change any of these things for our domain, but these are something that Microsoft thought that if you are creating our network, some of the basic securities have to be enabled. So these are all the account policies, local policies, network access, some security settings with. Mainly it is all about security of the domain. They did not touch anything else. And same for, so network security here, and then public key policies and encrypting file system, which are some certificates. Certificate server we're going to deploy in 4.11. So here domain controller policy. So first is the domain. When we create domain, users should be secure. Whatever users we are creating. So these are all the policies. Then there's a default domain control policy, which is also this is concerned with the domain controller itself, the OS itself with Active Directory. So the security settings are little different from the previous one. This is for this OS. So local policies, user rights assignment, allow log on locally. Who is allowed to log on locally? Only enterprise domain admins, or all those server operators, backup operators, server operators. So domain users or normal users are not allowed to log in to the domain controller locally. So these are all policies to have full security on a domain controller, because this is just like a president house or White House. So there's huge security around White House. That's it.
Make changes in this format.
We can make, not recommended, but if we have a very good reason, we can make changes. Definitely we can. It's just that we should have a very good reason.
Are we going to study this group policy in more detail in the next coming or no?
Group policy is in all three courses. They are touching in all three. They call it touching, but we are going to go a little deeper every time. And so these are, and we know that the where are they placed? They are placed in sysvol folder. Where is the sysvol folder? Windows, and then system32. Where? Yeah. So, and then there is sysvol, there is domain, there is staging areas, but we go for domains. And already there's storage GPO configured here. Scripts and policies can be placed in the sysvol folder. That gets, sysvol is the central repository from where we can distribute the policies throughout the domain. So these are all the policies already created by us during the during our previous lab.
GPOs are stored in sysvol.
GPOs are stored in sysvol.
In the format of what?
In the format of, we'll double click this, and this is just a confusion set. This is just a text file that we can enable, and then there are different files here, but mainly it's based on that text file what policy needs to be implemented. But there's no long code we're going to see here. The implementation,
You mean like the extension.
Extension is extension configuration settings, properties. That's just .ini, but this is just the initialization file. There is no extension here. This is just how they put the policy there. The main data is in the background. The main data is in the group policy management itself, under the policies. Here they are just having a kind of a pointer. Hey, just we have one of your policies and you want to implement that. Okay, go there. We have a record of this policy ready to be implemented throughout the domain now. So sysvol is just going to be the launching pad to be implemented throughout the domain, right? Okay, some built-in policies are there. Then we created some policies. What about the conflicts, and what about the precedence of the policy? What about the difference between preferences and policies? So we had those topics ready. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you were saying. So yeah, sysvol folder is, I think I closed it. So yeah, you were saying. So we assign from where? Group policy, inside the group policy console. Then we open the group policy editor, management editor. From there we apply. So their launching pad, they have to launch from somewhere, is that sysvol, from where they are going to be distributed. But the main data is inside the group policy management console, inside there as well. But you won't, yeah. Yeah, this is just a distribution point.
So you wouldn't apply it to there?
No, actually, whenever you make a group policy object, that's stored in GPO. You have to go to GPO,
So,
get it there and implement it.
So this is their 3, 2, 1 takeoff. We have a takeoff. Oh,
Then what's the purpose of sysvol?
Sharoon.
That's a storage.
what?
Because sysvol is a folder.
Thank you.
No, but what is the purpose?
I'm explaining you. Sysvol is a folder where the group policy is stored in the file format. What file format? MSI format.
MSI from? Okay.
MSI from?
Okay.
Storage management, that's all.
It's a area where we launch those, but the real data is inside the GPMC, right? Yeah, starter GPO. So we're going there as well. So these were the topics. Okay, group policy in SysWall. Group policies make changes in the registry. We saw the registry. I opened the registry yesterday. Those changes are done in the client and server on the client side. Then we talked about linking GPO, which is easy, that you create a policy in group policy objects folder and then you link it. Then we come back to, we then talked about block inheritance and enforce, that you can block from any GPO, from any container, and then enforce, wherever you enforce on the top, it just overwrites every blockage on any level. So starter GPO is starter GPO. Everything clear about above ones, because we talked about yesterday. Then starter GPO. Anyone has a one-liner for this? Starter GPO is
Starter GPO is the standardized GPO, which we can link it with the future policies at any time.
okay.
It's like a template.
It's a template or
Ready-made,
it's a
already made GPO.
so, and it is used for linking some standard policies to any new GPO that we connect this starter GPO with. So if I can say that it automatically adds configured policies to any newly created GPO, well, to complete it, to which it is connected. So that's going to be a very simple worded one-liner, okay, two-liner.
Question arises,
Yeah.
like the previous administrator made a GPO, right? Starter GPO. When the domain created this, company said we're gonna make this one starter GPO.
Mm-hmm.
And after one the other administrator comes and company says this is the policy you have to implement, right? And he makes another GPO. And it's a rule that you have to link it with a starter GPO all the time. But no, these two GPOs conflict with each other.
Yeah, so there are two
Second-
starter GPOs, you're saying.
No, just one.
One starter GPO, but new policies need to be added now.
Added. But in case of conflict,
Mm-hmm.
starter GPO will take precedence or
What kind of conflict? So you have previous starter
the new
GPO.
administrator didn't open and check the policy. I started GPO what it says, right? He says it's okay, that's standard.
So and he opens that same starter GPO and adds some more policies or configures some
No,
more
he-
policies.
This no, we didn't touch anything.
Okay.
He didn't check. The standardized starter GPO was there, right?
Mm-hmm.
After one, a company said there's another GPO policy you have to implement.
Yeah.
He didn't check that's gonna have a conflict with the starter GPO because he didn't study that, right?
Yeah.
No
Previous
one, he didn't check
was there a
what
starter
the-
GPO
what the-
before or
yeah,
not?
what the
He
starter
just.
GPO says.
Mm-hmm.
He
So.
said, okay, implement it.
So inside the starter GPO, whatever policies were implemented in the previous one,
Yeah.
and the new one, and the starter GPO in the new one, if those policies are conflicting, then there are rules for any conflict, which is coming in the next slide, which I will just open now. That if there's a conflict between any type of policy, whether in the starter GPO. So suppose this starter GPO, the previous administrator had blocked the desktop, but here in the starter GPO,
No, I'm not asking about two starter GPOs.
same starter GPO.
Just one starter GPO
Okay.
and one new group policy.
GPO object, yeah.
Yeah.
New
yeah.
group policy.
Which is conflicting with the previous policy.
Has a conflict with the starter GPO. The administrator didn't check what the starter
Yeah,
GPO said.
so he
just
created new
named it.
policy, and then but there is a conflict with the newly created policy he created and the whatever the policy was there. Yeah,
So
so
the
conflict
question
rules.
is, so which one will take?
Precedence, exactly. So this is the main question, main topic in group policy, that what happens if conflicts arise, which is a general topic, whether it is implemented within the starter GPO or whether it is implemented separately by different administrators. If the two policies are conflicting with each other, but there is a scenario here. If there is a conflict between policies, then the last policy read wins. For example, so what do we consider last policy? Whenever a user is logged in or logging in or a computer is starting up, it goes through policy 1, 2, 3, 4. So if there is a conflict between so when the user is logging in, it logs in. So whatever policies you have implemented, block desktop or block in private browser. In private browser is, it does not track your changes or wherever we have been going. In private browser or block anything else. So there's a policy there, and then the last policy is that unblock or keep block desktop enabled. Block desktop here it is, so here it is enabled, and down there the last policy that it goes through checks, the user checks logging in. Oh, okay, block enable. I'll block the desktop because this policy is enabled, telling us to block the desktop. Then block the in private browser, which is a feature inside the browser where if you click in private, your settings are not traced. Whatever you do in the browser, it is not traced. But in companies, they try to block this, right? When all the policies are going through, then the last policy the user reads, block desktop either disabled or not configured, or especially disabled, which means that do not block desktop for anyone. So in a conflict where the first policy was read as enabled and the same policy some other administrator at some other time implemented, and it is read at the last, so the last policy wins. This is one of the conflict rule. There are many other scenarios for the conflicts, where this is where this example is also showing that it is disabled. Same policy is also enabled. But first conflict, if there's a conflict between the policies, the last policy read wins. Let's go to another scenario for conflict.
Hold on. What do you mean by this word, red wins?
So last policy implemented or read by the user who is logging in.
Wins.
Yeah. Last policy implemented if it is a conflict policy.
That's
If they are different policy, they will all be a combination of policies.
That's in case of starter GPO and the new GPO?
So I'm now going to I'm talking about what types of conflicts are there, and then we're going to come back to this. So let's see two more types of conflicts. Then there will be an answer for this right away.
So this was for
This is first one of the conflicts. If
one of the conflicts between the user's configuration or computer configuration.
any, if the computer is starting up
Yeah.
and there are 5 computer policies, and one of the top policies conflicts with one of the last policies, so the last policy implemented wins. That's the first resolution of a conflict, right? Then the second resolution of a conflict is if there is a conflict between computer and user policies, then computer policy wins or computer policy will override user policy. If there is a same policy for user saying that, so this would be another example here, that for the user who logs into comp 01, now user 01 is logging into computer 01. For this particular user or the group that user is part of, or OU, not group, the user is part of, says that block the the browser component, but this is also a policy in computer as well. Browser component called in private. No, this is the policy. User logging in and it will be blocked for it. But in the computer policy, when you go to the computer site, the links are there as well. I'll send that slide. On the computer side, this policy is also there. And some administrator put that for this computer, not knowing that for the user who's logging in has it disabled. This computer has the same policy. So this blocked the browser component called in private. The administrator enabled it for the user. But another administrator working at some other time, for the same policy, the administrator disabled it. But this policy, exactly same policy, is for the computer, and computer is told, hey, you see this policy? Disable. When the user logs in, the user is supposed to find it enabled, which means that the user, if this policy is enabled, the user will not find this feature of in private. The button of in private will not be there. While the computer is told, whenever you see this policy, disable this policy, which means that block the browser, which means that do not block the browser. If it is disabled, this means this feature is available. If it is enabled, this means this feature is not available. If computer and user has the same policy, computer policy overrides user policy.
So for computer, it doesn't matter which one is the last one, it's just computer always overrides.
Computer, if it's a conflict between user and computer, computer wins.
Okay.
Then last thread is not implemented there. Yeah. This is conflict, in phase of conflict. If there are different policies for different things, of course, computer policy will be implemented, user policy will be implemented.
Recording this?
Yeah.
So with the user policies, it's always the last one.
Yeah.
I have to write to Cybex. But you say user so here computer. He says user policy is always in, right? Take the president.
Don't write Cybex, write Microsoft. Go to Microsoft who created those policies. Where did he say that user?
You have the reference?
No, you just give me the reference. That's it. I'll give you my reference.
You know what you're saying to me, I'm just saying that because
This is good to discuss that, and if you have a different opinion,
No,
yeah.
actually, you know what? The common sense says who on the priority to be controlled, to bring under the control, the computer or the user.
No,
That's
that's
a pretty simple
Right?
explanation that you just told us. Within users, it's always the last right policy that overrides the other policy. There's conflicts, right? And
no.
if
Cybex cannot make a mistake. There must have been some other.
We need to control the users first.
No, I know, but
You
you
can
saying that
control
on the-
this anytime, right?
So
We have to make
computer
a-
policies will be overriding user policy if conflict arises. Let's check that. So there was a question yesterday as well from your side that check that distribution list. Why it does not have a ACID.
Yeah, why it does not have a SID?
Yeah.
Distribution.
So I sent an email with the explanation from Microsoft.
Did you send it?
Yeah.
What did you send this to us, right?
Yeah, to the group. The email. It's in the email actually. So check the email. The whole explanation why it does not have that.
And it doesn't
SID.
have a SID,
It does
right?
not have a SID. You're right. It does not have a SID. There's an explanation why it does
Why,
not,
what's the reason?
and there's another way it can have a SID.
And there was one more question.
She was talking about
Distribution group.
Okay.
Because in Active Directory, every object has.
So yeah, just like this, refer Microsoft vendor website saying this is this, so we can discuss that. Refer that. So instead of Cybex said that, no, give me a proof there, so that we can implement here right now.
Because then we'll be confused.
Mm.
And there was one more question. Remember, I asked you why we are asked to create a GPO in GPO, right? Show policy object. The new GPO, we are supposed to create right there, right?
Yeah.
And then later link it where
Yeah.
we want it.
Because it gets implemented right away.
No.
So created there, it does not. It's not linked to anything, so there's no risk of at once implemented. That's the reason. There could be other reasons, but that's the main reason. That it's not going to. If you link it right away,
Yeah.
maybe you were about to, make some changes. Somebody linked it at once, it will be implemented. So create somewhere where it's not implemented right away, go through that policy again. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Link it now at once. I mean, so you just want to avoid any accidents. That's the reason.
You know what, one thing more came to my mind.
Yeah.
When you create a GPO and GPO, right?
Mhm.
I was discussing with you right now. It came in my mind.
Mhm.
When you click new GPO, you make it right, and it's sitting in a GPO container, and you can link it later at any time with anywhere.
Yeah.
But no question is, like, if I go directly to that user or OU, and I use the option create the GPO and link it here, right? So that will be linked there. Will it go and sitting in the GPO container or not?
GPO container, the copy of it or from where it is linked will always be there.
Always there. So I can, if I need in the future to implement that GPO to link it anywhere else.
Anywhere else, you can keep linking to anywhere else. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead. There are. So what is this? Group policy processing order. How do you explain this? Any one-liners? Pretty clear diagram. So how does it process? Yeah.
Want to do it?
Yeah, please.
Actually, group policy can be applied at 4 stages, right? Local, every computer has its local group policy,
And the one line just
right? Sorry?
He's saying no
The group-
debates, one-liner. Huh?
The group, one line.
no, yeah, one line and
Group
one
policy can be applied
So first,
domain.
the local group policy is applied. Then what?
in a domain, site, domain, and OE. Group policy can be applied at these 3 places.
So precedence or processing, it's not the precedent, processing of the group policy.
And
Right.
if you apply at the site, it goes through right to the bottom.
Any questions on this diagram?
Can you repeat that? Sorry? Can you repeat that? If you apply at the site, group policy, it effects goes down to the bottom.
Yeah. So
Right? If you apply domain, still it goes to the down. If you apply at the
Inheritance,
GPO,
that's called
GPO,
inheritance of
it
that.
goes down.
So processing happens.
But what's the
First-
one line? I mean, what's the
So the processing happens in this order,
In this order.
and first it applies to the local group, which means what? Already what is implemented. So if I say that there is the desktop is enabled for us, we can make any kind of changes. This is the default policy of the operating system. If I am logging into the domain and I'm trying to do anything, it's the default policy. But main thing is that our user environment, what we see when right after installation of the window, that's our default environment. So that's the default policy. We make changes, then it sees that, okay, is there anything implemented on site? No, nothing. If there is, yes, okay, implement that. If there is anything implemented on domain level, is there? Yes, no. If yes, implement. If it is different than the site, it will implement that as well as the site one. If there's nothing on site, of course, nothing gets implemented. Or whichever level there is a policy attached or linked, it will get implemented. But first, it is processing, hey, what is the local policy of this guy? Which is default of what we installed right away the Windows, and whatever we are able to do is the policy,
if you
default
implement a
policy.
domain, group policy on a domain, then what will happen? If you will implement it on a domain, it will be implemented on all the
It will inherit,
OUs
yeah,
Underneath.
if-
whatever is underneath.
underneath that, right?
Yeah.
And if you implement it on a site,
Then if domain is underneath that, which
yeah,
it is,
yeah, so it will be implemented on a domain.
yeah,
What about the local group? If you
it
implement
it
on
checks
the local
first.
group,
It checks first that.
Actually, it is like your laptop has its own local policy, right? Group policy.
No, the question is
It's not about
if there is a policy here, does this override everything down?
so it will
Why is it on the
override
top? Why is it on the top?
Because it goes, all the policies goes down, it will be followed by the local group policies. It is implemented and designed by the local group.
So first the local group policy is
Yeah.
checked,
Yeah, check.
but does it have a precedence over any other policy? There is a policy on the site, but okay, the policy says here block the desktop, but the group policy you implemented that don't block the desktop. So the group policy, local group policy will override the site policy?
No, it will not.
No, actually,
It cannot.
The last one wins.
The last
So it does check that the lost and found. The lost one wins.
This is only the processing order.
Where's that? There's just a processing order. It checks. Okay, what is there? But
It's not how it's implemented. It's just
yeah,
processing.
implementation is last one, right?
Okay.
When we are talking about domains, we never mention local group policy. Right? Because that's related to the group, to a local.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
User
Domain group policy and local group policy.
your server.
No, but this is the different local. Is this the same local group?
Which local group policy is this?
Because this
Is this a policy for a standalone server?
No,
That's
it's
for-
not.
Or when we log in locally, is that the policy? When you log in locally from a server or a client? Or which group, local group policy is
It's
that?
still the domain policy, but it's
It is, which policy is that?
You know what, as far as I understand,
That you're saying that
local policy of the server,
of the computer.
Of
you
your
mean,
computer.
of the domain controller or the server?
your machine.
As far as it is joined to the domain.
Server domain.
No, but as long as it's joined to domain, not like it's
No, 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 if it's standalone,
No, it's,
It-
that's a
it-
part.
it's nowhere.
Like,
It does not
part of
exist.
domain, right? But
So what's
computer
the-
has its own local policy too.
What's
I
the-
know it has, it's not-
what's the one-liner for
That's
this?
what I meant. I mean, this is that local group.
But when you
Yeah.
talk about a group policy implementation in the domain, the side domain and OU.
Yeah.
What's the one-liner for that?
Group policy processing order is applied.
Yeah, actually, it shows
LSDOU.
LSDOU.
Yeah, that's a good one. Man. That's one line. Yeah.
Yeah, that was no fun. Okay. LSDOU. Okay, there's another question coming here. So this is just an overview of the main portions of group. So yes, as it shows here, default precedence, local site, domain, OU, LSDOU, seen on the group policy inheritance tab. What is the link order if there are two policies implemented in the same security, in the same container? Though two policies are linked in the same container. So there is an OU
Yeah.
called accounts,
Okay.
and there's one policy linked that block D or desktop. Another policy is that open allow network change. And then there's a conflicting policy somebody put there to block desktop is enabled, enabled, and then on the same accounts OU block D is disabled. Now you have just one accounts OU. You have 3 or 4 or 5 policies linked there, but there's a conflict right away then and there in this. That one says block is enabled, one says block is disabled, and it was implemented after 6 months, but somebody just implemented it and did not see all the other policies linked there, or maybe it was not labeled correctly, so it was not understood. If there's a conflict within that one OU, what happens?
The link order.
No, I got what is written here, but the question is,
Mhm.
when you created block D, it got number 1 or number 2?
So first one is the top one.
It's number 1, right?
Yeah.
Can you change the
Lower number.
As soon as
Can
you
you
Yeah,
change
no,
that?
we can always change.
You can change that.
I think it would be disabled because it's the most recent one, and the most recent
can change this.
policy. I'm not sure, but-
There, yeah, this rule is there. Yeah. But within this, if you have two exactly conflicting policies linked together to one OU, then what does it say? The lower number, higher on list, precedent. What do you get from there? Lower,
The number 2, the one at the top.
the lowest number, which is 1.
Or the lowest number, okay, 1.
Maybe it's not on the top, but it's the lowest number. Maybe 5 is on the top. Hey, first, process this, then process this. But the lower number gets the precedent. If it is the lower number enabled, then number 1 will be, and this is 2 or maybe this is 5, number 5 policy. So lower number in the conflict, in the case of conflict, the lower number wins.
lower number meaning like
Number 1 or 2 or the lower. Yeah.
Is that like, so basically,
Within the
local policy apply?
yeah. No,
that's
which
not the latest then. That's what
whichever has the lower number. Maybe you created now a policy which is number 4, and then you create another policy which is number 3 in place of some other policy. Whichever is the normal, but it conflicts right away. No, so just change the order 1, 2, 3. So which is the lower number here? Or if there was a
Those are all policies applied, right, to the OU
yeah,
account?
yeah. So whichever is the lower number, it will just detect that, okay, now I have a conflict here, what do I do? So Microsoft says, go for the lower number between the conflicting policies only.
This is only for linking though.
Linked policies which happen to conflict. That this one place you're saying enable, same thing you're saying disable. Okay, I have to decide now, I'll go for the lower number. I don't know which one is important for you guys. I am told by Microsoft, go for the lower number.
I was just confused about the number 1, right? Over there we were saying that the processing order is, this is how it is processed.
This is just one OU. Within the OU there's a conflict.
No.
There it was processing order. Yeah, you were saying?
I'm talking about the number 1. Number
Yeah,
1
yeah.
point.
Oh, number 1.
Still
Yeah.
the number 1, yeah.
Local site.
So, if this is how it processes it, but still it says default precedence, not processing. So it means the local policy is going to override the site policy as well.
Local policy is going
It
to
says local and then site and domain on OU.
seen on the group policy inheritance tab. This is how it's going to process that.
So
Yeah.
site is going to inherit from local? I mean,
So precedence. This is all about precedence as well as processing.
when the computer is joined to a
What?
domain,
So yeah.
if I have a group policy, local group policy on my computer, right? And then I join this computer to a domain, then this group policy, local group policy is not going to be incited.
No, it says local group policy. It's local to that computer
to that
or
computer.
local to that.
As long as that computer is not part of the domain.
For a standalone policy. For the standalone computer,
But
it's
as
the
long as
local.
when it's joined to a domain, then my local
So
group
this
policy is not
policy takes precedence when the user is part of the domain and logging in through the domain. So
Okay.
then the local group policy, it will, if the user is part of a domain and the computer is joined to the domain, then only the domain policy will understand, okay, this is our guy, but that guy has a local policy that is implemented which is conflicting with our policy.
So then
Then the local policy will be taking precedence over the other policies. But if it is a standalone computer or if you log in locally, then it will not implement.
No, but we are not logging as a local user. We are
If you log in
logging as a domain
in a
user.
domain, then it gets precedence if there's a conflict.
Okay, now you explain. What's your understanding? I want
Okay, let me just draw that.
My understanding was that when a computer is joined to a domain and a
Yeah.
user who is part of a domain logs into a domain controller.
Let's create a conflict then. Default precedence. So there's
You understand this?
domain login
got what you are saying. Actually,
You can monitor policy.
and there's a local login.
That user is controlled by the domain controller, not the local computer.
By domain login, when the user logs in,
Domain user, not
what happens? So what does it say? If there's a conflict, what happens? Or precedence in what way? In a conflicting, it has to decide, or it has to just implement that different policy while implementing all other policies.
This is when
There are
there's
two
a conflict,
questions.
right?
So does it say the application of GPOs linked to each container results in a cumulative
Amit, this
effect
word-
called inheritance?
So what is the difference between a hand?
We are not talking about conflicts here.
This he is right, but we are not clear on the word local group.
I understand
That
that.
that thing is making a confusion.
No, I'm clear about local.
Okay, so how do you define local group?
No,
If your computer is not a part of a domain,
Okay, let's hear from let's hear
I
from.
think the difference is, if I understand your point, is in this case there is no conflict, so that's the precedence. In the other one, there was a conflict. If there's a conflict,
I mean, they don't
that
say
was
there's a conflict.
GPOU would apply. I think
No,
that's
no,
where the
no,
difference is.
this is
we
not
are
about
right.
conflict.
Precedence. What do you mean by precedence? That if the policy is configured locally, it will implement that first, and then there's a policy on the site as well. Since I have a local policy, and there's no conflict going on, local policy just says
Okay.
block something different.
Okay, so that'll be implemented first.
It's a
and then the side
cumulative
policy
thing.
will be
Yeah,
implemented.
so first
both will
implemented.
be implemented.
Yeah.
So first one will be implemented and then second one.
Yeah.
The side one.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So the difference between this screen and the other one is just the conflict.
It's
right?
that's
Exactly.
that's where it was explained differently.
Let him explain. So,
No, there are two different policies, right? One on the local computer.
Now there will be a checkup.
There are two different policies, one on the local computer, one on the site, and then the remains.
That's brutal.
The local
There should be a policy on food.
And then the site
It
policy
should
will
be
implemented.
smelling
So both the policies
better.
will be implemented at the same time, as long as it's
Oh.
block soups,
Yeah.
right? And then
Block
the
soups.
remain on this is the precedent. But this is not about the. There's no
No,
this is
morning
about the-
soup.
yeah,
Oh.
so-
Okay, guys. So it's very good thing you guys talk to each other and convince each other. It's very good. We then go ahead.
I'm scared of this fighting, and he's always.
No,
I'm scared of his knowledge. He has a lot of knowledge.
It's knowledge is okay. It's evolving. It's the confidence. You talk about me, and we have the same triad here.
Yes, that's
No, I appreciate it. I mean, he
No,
referred to Cybex, and that's, of course, I mean, that's a thing he brought up to the class because he says the Cybex has something different. Now we are,
No, it happens many times. In any class, a teacher might be wrong as a human being. So always best thing, give a reference from the vendor. And everyone should be clear right away.
Because these issues, when they come up, then we learn.
And
Because
that's
we
very
don't
good. We
have
learned that. I learned from you. I learned from a lot of students, and I've been learning.
Oh, yes, of course.
So always written from vendor. Okay, good.
So people
Very
are
good.
learning.
So you could send it to email, and just I sent your question with a very good question. That we were saying that everything has said no. Distribution list does not have a set, which is a very good point. But then I put it. He asked me, and then I put it from the vendor side. Okay, that's what Microsoft says, and exactly you're right. So you can also put that on Microsoft. So we should learn as well. Right? It's very good. So then we talked about block inheritance. We talked about that already. Enforced attribute. This is some. These are few of the slides, but they are so important. These slides that you should go through these slides before the interviews as well, right? So I'm just gonna go give these to you. There's a security filtering also available. The basic concept of security. Yeah, you were saying.
Sorry, quick question about
Yeah, yeah.
the OU counts example that you have there with the block policy objects. With how the numbers are assigned to the objects, is it the most recent created object has higher number, or do the numbers?
So in case of conflict, I'm just I brought up just for the conflict thing.
Yeah.
That whatever, if there are two policies, one is fifth policy and one is policy number one. So they are now conflicting. At once Microsoft tells GPO, hey, decision is whichever is number one, whichever is the lower number.
Yeah.
Implement that and ignore the bigger number.
Okay. Yeah,
Doesn't matter that it was implemented recently and that was like 2 years back. So you can make the other policy number one and make this policy number 5. Okay, now you have your way
Okay.
because you know the rules.
Okay, the last implement policy, they can be a lower number.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
That's
How
the
is that going to
question.
be a
So-
higher number? Or is that
so
gonna be, that was
Last implement, this is a conflict happening within an OU. Last implement policy, let me show you.
Where are the numbers coming from?
Oh,
Is that the order you're applying?
okay, I'll show you where they are and also the last implement policy. That's also a good
yeah, exactly.
good point. Let me show you, and it will be very clear right now. So, wow, is it hot or am I hot?
It's a hard discussion.
No, I think it's this. It's gonna be 18. Last implementing policy. What is that? Okay, and one more thing. Let me show you. Where are there 3 or 4 policies? So I could show you link order. You can see. Let me just create one here. Oh, here. No, these are not linked. So I will just link one more under the management. So there's a management OU here, and I already have block desktop, block D, number 2, link again, and anything, management policy. So now we have an order. So there's a block D and block desktop. Suppose they are in conflict with each other right away. So now we are inside this management OU where two policies have to be decided side by side. They are just side by side with each other, or within one OU it has to be implemented. So if there's a conflict, any one of them will be implemented right away. So it's only on that one OU level. The rule for last policy implement or last policy wins does not apply here. Just on this, it's just one OU level. So whichever is the lower number will apply just in the OU. But what is the last policy implemented? On the top, you can see this. From the top, there are coming some policies from sites. If you implemented something on domain, you implemented something. Wherever you have a conflict within the whole structure, then the last policy red wins there. Wherever there is within one OU, you are supposed to implement policies, and you can decide between only anyone. Then they say that go for the lower number. But when it comes to the whole infrastructure of GPO that you are implementing, on the top there is a policy. And then on the bottom, there is a policy that is in direct conflict with the top policy. So it will read first this, then so any OU here, any computer here, it will first go through the top policies, then it will go to the bottom policies. And bottom policies is directly opposite of the top policy. So it's going to last policy will win there in the infrastructure. But within that same OU, they are saying if they are linked together. For the same OU, and you have to implement in the conflict area, you have to implement any one of those. You cannot implement both. So at once the last lower number rule applies just within one OU. But for the whole infrastructure, it's totally different. Last policy, right? Yeah.
You mean if
I
it's
think what he's trying to ask is like if you go back to the management folder,
Yeah.
or OU, I mean. So you see how block D is in the middle there?
Yep.
And block D is at the top here. So basically, the link order 1
Lower
if
number.
it's in conflict with number 3, the number 1 wins.
Yeah.
Basically, that's it. Right?
That's it.
And another thing I'm trying to ask is, like the link order goes by whatever, like if you create another policy now, it's going to be number 4, right? Like it won't be like if you have like a bunch of policies, it'll always go in numerical order. Like it won't be like
Whichever you created. Yeah.
Okay, that was my next question. Because that's what he was asking too. If you have like 10 group policies, right? And say the number 5 group policy, you create the same policy that for a group policy that's number 11, right? But no, sorry, you create it after, but will it always be a higher number, or can it be a lower number?
You can change the link order.
It'll be a higher number
Okay,
if you
you
create
can change the link
it.
order, that's different, but it will always be created.
So it's where you are implementing. Where has the conflict arrived? It's this question, not how. I mean, where? If it's within OU, if it's within the whole infrastructure, the last one wins. But if it is within OU, where? It's within OU, between the policies, it's a lower number. So this has to be gone through, and I have put an example here to test these. So I have given this link. I'll give you the slide just to exactly implement that. I have put this.
Some is a little bit confusing.
That's why I put these examples.
This slide, yeah, this slide shows it. This slide, see, this slide has that.
So I have put this slide there with examples. I'll give you the slide. Just go to these links here. This is just showing. First go to policies, implement a disabled one, then go to the computer one and implement this. This is the example for this conflict. Then I'm going to this second one, and I've shown the pictures that if you want to test it right away, you can just go through these diagrams and check on the client side how the conflict will win. So that you can put that policy to test right away with these pictures, right?
So the lower level is only
In the computer,
the same OU or same,
when it comes to same OU,
yeah,
it's links.
It's linked to the.
Yeah, when it comes to the full infrastructure,
let's go from
then the
link
lower
to-
wins.
Yeah, the lower wins.
In the conflict, in the case of conflict, yeah. So, but you can put it to test with these pictures. Wow.
number 12.
Yes.
Question is like when you link it, right?
Okay,
Number 1.
this is it.
And after 5 years,
It's too tasty.
another GPO. Number 2.
It's chicken. I smell chicken.
Your advisor says buy this one.
Number 3.
That's number 10.
Number 10.
Yes, number 10.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
But no, the number 10 has a conflict with
Okay, there's a discussion time we will give. 5 minutes.
Do you want to implement this? Oh,
Completely blocked.
Question is,
Link order.
right?
Exactly.
No, but
What's the-
no, I understand what you're saying. The number 10 and then
Okay, guys. So we can have a break dedicated to these questions, but we want to cover other topics as well. This I've given the examples. Yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's only for the option. Yeah.
The link order.
Link order.
Under the
So
order.
that's a lot more clear than
no, but that's the topic that
Yep, we can discuss.
you can just change
The link order, right?
Yeah, yeah.
you're right.
someone is controlling that.
The point is to change the link order.
If you need to
Yeah, if you want hours, then we can just change the link order. Okay, guys. So there is also groups involved in the group policy. To a certain extent, we cannot directly connect them. Suppose one user is son of the CEO, so you don't want the block desktop just for that guy, but you want everyone has to be punished, and you need to be brutal to everyone. So what do? Either there's a group, that son has some friends as well as employees. So what do you want if you add a group and tell that don't implement this policy just on the members of this group, but implement on on that OU, whoever's in that OU, or on the domain level, whoever's on the domain level, keep it implemented. Just keep those guys away from this policy.
But they are
That's filtering. Yeah. Even if they are in same OU. Yeah. So how do we tackle the group filtering? So main purpose that you want to filter policies for certain groups that, I want these guys to not have this policy implemented, or I want this number of guys to be part of this policy specifically. If I remove everyone else, like default users, by default what happens is that policy is implemented on default authenticated users. Authenticated users is all domain users, right? So if we start messing with that, which is not recommended by Microsoft unless we have a very good reason, but how to have certain users or groups be added or removed for the policy. So if I go to any of the links, so block desktop, there's a policy, and then there's a delegation, but then there's an advanced ACL, which is access control list. If I have test user added here, we can see that authenticated user. First, I'll go to authenticated users, right? And I go to the permissions here. Every user must have a read to the policy, must read the policy, and the policy must apply to those users. So apply group policy and read is for everyone. But I add this user, separate user, and then for this particular policy, I say that, okay, this user can read this policy but deny applying this group policy, which will exclude this user from all kinds of, for this policy. Where I went for this exact block desktop policy, this particular policy will not implement on this test user, while this test user may be a part of or has been dragged to this OU. But I specifically say in this access control list of that policy that deny applying the group policy for that user. I can add a full group now and do that. Yesterday we created a ACC 0 check name, whoever is a member of that group for that particular policy. So yeah, user 1 was and then I think user 2 was also created that, added that. So I can deny applying group policy for the whole group, and all the members will not have that policy. Yeah, so filtering would be to.
I missed all these classes.
Oh, and you missed the videos as well. Why you did not see the video? Okay, the filtering is all about adding, removing. By removing, if I say allowing, denying, but after adding, allowing, denying the policies to specific users groups is done through filtering. So that would be the one-liner for, and we can, on any policy, if that user is part of that OU, still you can specifically filter that user, hey, don't implement this on this particular user or group. Just go to the ACL and specifically deny that. It's rarely used, and I don't see that example in my company, but definitely this user can get away with any kind of specific policy. It's not, so you have to go to that particular policy to tackle that. And there are scripts in the environment that always run to check permissions. So this is always you will be held accountable for what you do, right? But filtering is that you can add group or remove group from anywhere. You can remove this authenticated users, which means now whoever I add, this policy will implement only on those, but no one else. So linking this policy to domain and then removing the authenticated users removes all the domain users from this now. Authenticated users is all domain users. So we don't do that. Definitely we don't do that. Or what's the purpose of creating a policy? But we can, this is another way to implement the policy on specific groups. So that's where only the groups are involved in a group policy. Otherwise, groups have nothing direct to do with group policy.
I mean, there are, like you said, there are 2,000 policies or something.
Plus.
So
And
if I need
still adding.
Yeah. So if I need to find one specific,
Oh.
right? So how will I reach to that?
If we were told many times by non-technical staff, hey, my friend in a company, so they implemented this. Can you implement that? Block CMD.
So
I would never know that. Where exactly to go? I would just Google the TechNet.
question why I raised this point?
Yeah. Yeah.
I studied that. That's done through the filtering option.
In 2012, did you read for 2012 or 2008 and 2003 as well? 2008. So I would go
Filtering
for
option, if you go there
the
and
full document and check how it implements and
turn on the filtering option, then you can.
search for that.
Like,
Yeah, searching the policy here with specific words is possible, but I would go for the vendor document to have the background of this policy and the user implemented. I'm just giving the, what I would do right away. I would just go to search for the vendor on TechNet website. Implementing this policy, what are the repercussions of that, pros and cons of that?
You go to
Vendor document, get that vendor document. Every policy is explained there. The effects.
vendor document means
Microsoft website,
Go
TechNet.
there and you just type there and get it.
And they will have step by step, but also if you implement this, you can expect this, although this detail is here as well, but that would be in much detail. Plus there are forums that we implemented that and it conflicted with that, so we didn't do that. In short, I will just go for that. Yeah.
I will check that too in 2012
Yeah.
because the video I have seen, that was 2008. In that video,
If 2008 can have it, so 2012 will definitely have it.
they were saying in that within among 2,000 policies, you need to look for
Search for any
desktop
policy.
this word desktop, like
Just put the desktop word.
just put this
Yeah.
desktop word. That will show you all the policies.
Mm,
which have
definitely.
this word.
The search capability is there, definitely.
So just pick one. Which one do you need?
Which is good additional info.
No, filter option.
Option or find option.
Search option.
Yeah,
Filtering
search.
option. That's called filtering.
So this
I
is-
think
this
let's
is
go
running on my
to
filters.
action. Sorry.
This filtering.
Let's do it right now here. Huh?
So, no, what your point is that we can search, yeah. But is this point clear?
Why?
Yeah.
The reason was because this is also filtering,
Yeah.
right?
No, you're saying that as filtering.
Yeah,
So,
that's filtering.
okay, this is filtering. Why it is called filtering? We are filtering what?
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right too.
Filtering users and groups. But you are giving another example. Group policy is a very vast topic. There are huge books on that. If I let me go to the slide, it's a 119 page slide. There are 119 slides in that PowerPoint slide. If I just go now, let me just show you what I'm picking those main images for, and I put that slide already in the group as well. I can just give you back again.
Because this filtering word
whole
is
slide
that
you will-
Yeah. Okay. From that point, it's definitely
confusion for you.
definite. It would be
That's a search.
That's filter. is
search.
filter.
Search tool always have a filtering. It always has a
Oh, that's
filtering
a different
option.
filtering though. This is the
So yeah, that is different. This is different. Anyway,
Understand that.
so
Still the same word, right?
see guys, 121 slides for this. You can have the slide. It has every screenshot for many functionalities in the group policy.
so you send us
And I mean, I had to take all the screenshots for every lab in the group policy.
Where did you tell them?
I created this from different sources.
Because we will need it in future, right?
No, I'll give you this slide now. You can take this slide. It has all the step by step as well as for many policies.
So you don't have these slides as yet?
No, I already sent this on, but I will give you right now again. Anyway, so it's a huge topic. But we have so many different topics. Group policy preferences. This is going to be, to not very much difference there, but what difference is there is that group policies setting is permanent and grayed out UI on client side. So if we block something, it grays out. When we implement a policy, when we implement a preference, it's not grayed out, and the user can actually change that as well from the user side. Any one user can change that on the client side. So suppose there's a folder redirection. We can change, a user can change that setting as well. There's a printer mapped to that, so you can unmap that as well. So the user has an option on the user side to change the preferences, but not the policies. Policies are hard-coded. Not hard-coded in a way that it can never be removed. When you remove the policy, the setting is also gone.
But the user can't touch the policy to begin with.
In policies, user cannot touch. If it is implemented on the client side, user cannot change on the client side anything. But preferences, yes, user has the option. It is not grayed out. So preferences are can be changed from the user side. We will give an example as well. See an example. If GPO is removed, then the corresponding registry settings are gone, as we just discussed. If so GPP, group policy preference setting, is removed, then the user side does not get removed, or if we apply a new policy, that reverts this setting. So if we have a setting there, it's just there. I mean, you just had done a folder redirection for 100 users. So you remove this on the group policy preference, but it's not going to get removed. The whole setting will not going to get removed from the user setting. Or unless you put a new folder redirection for those 100 users, it will override the previous one. If you remove that policy preference, then the user has to tackle, or from the client side, the user has to change those settings as well himself. So it's kind of hard coded. Oh no, it says that GPP setting is removed, then the user side does not get removed. Yeah. So it will stay implemented. GPP are totally different from the usual concept of group policy that gets hard coded into the
This word UI stands for?
user interface, the graphical interface, the click area. Okay, so policy always takes precedence over preference. Just some rules of thumb that if there's a group policy preference implemented that is in direct conflict with group policy, so policy will take precedence. Apply once and do not reapply is a feature just in group policy preference, which means what? The group policy, it implements and refreshes. So group policy refreshes whenever the user is logged in again, computer started, or every 90 to 120 minutes it gets refreshed. But preference automatically. But preference, yeah.
Is the user able to remove the setting?
For
It says means that the user removes the setting, then the GPO does not reapply.
so
what is
if
the
the
user gonna remove?
so no, if the user removes the setting, so you applied that folder redirection.
Yeah.
User removes that folder redirection. I don't want my folder to be redirected to file server 1. I'll just change the server name to file server 2 myself. If we enable this option of do not reply, this is not by default enabled. If we enable this option for that particular policy, do not reapply, then what will happen? The user removes it, or it gets removed because of corruption, or the new operating system was installed. So that policy will not be reapplied once removed from the client side. If we enable this option, but this option is not enabled, otherwise, if the policy is implemented on group policy preferences, it remains implemented and refreshed, just like in group policy.
But my question was, is the user able to remove the setting?
That's the main difference between policy
And
and preference. The user, the areas that are configured, they are not grayed out. So they are not grayed out, and there are so in that slide there are step-by-step to implement folder redirection. There's a step-by-step implementation and screenshots for printer deployment over the network. You want to deploy a printer to certain machines. The user will be able to change all those settings as well when you apply a preference. And when you apply a folder direction, user will be able to change those settings as well because it's a preference. Preferences are not available for local group policy objects in servers and clients when you locally log in, and when you put gpedit.msc locally, when you locally log in. So preferences are never available in all those operating systems, only policies are available. So these are some main points about the difference between group policies and preferences. That's why it's a separate folder there. When we go there, this is a separate folder. I'll cancel out because I'll just edit anything. And so policies and preferences. These are all the preferences, Windows settings. You can see that control panel wise and all these settings there. Folders can be redirected, as well as drive mappings can be done here with a new drive map to map drive. You can just so I'm implementing where this, so I can just create a new preference. So if I go to the domain, right click, I'm just quickly creating a map drive for, just to show that. And so map drive, what's a map drive? Why am I just looking at the end? Okay. Mapped network drive, a drive that is available, or a shared folder that is available somewhere, and you map it to your client machine. So when you double click that shared folder opens. So it's like a permanent thing. User logs off, logs in again. Let me just quickly create a map drive, so you would just know.
Work like you could access drive,
Z drive or H drive. That's it. So map drive. Press. So I'm just creating a new policy, and inside the map drive, if I go to preference, right click, edit. This is just a quick deployment. So preferences, Windows settings, control panel, drive maps here. So now it's it's showing already a Windows environment, new map drive, and then action either update or create or replace. So I'll just create. Location, so that's where I have a server 2-CANIPS, so I would just go for the path of a shared folder and map it to server 02-CANIPS. Even the IP address would work definitely. If I just go to yeah, just to reach to the server and see the shared folders of that server, right? Oh, so that was not the name. So // 192.168.0.2. Oh, that's the and there's one shared folder here, access shared folder, which is not accessible. Okay, anyway, so I'll just put this to map just our server name, just to make sure, and reconnect, label as file server. You can just name it anything, whichever is the location. For a so net use is also a command prompt. There's a command called net use, which also is used like that. So use first available starting at whichever drive letter is available. So I'll just go for a random one, or the famous is Z. And username, password, connect as optional. How do you want to connect to the file server? Maybe you're an administrator, so whenever you click this, it asks for credentials. You don't want those credentials to pop up. The credentials should not pop up. So you could just type, hey, I'm the administrator. Whenever I click this, just give me the access. So, oh, that's actually administrator and confirm password. So it's actually creating an account, new account. This means this is not joined to the domain. Hide, show this drive. So we can just put those options there. I need to make sure that 02 is even. And common. Here, what I was saying about apply once and do not reapply, this option only comes for preferences. Then there is another cool thing about this preferences is item level targeting. One more thing that, so if I go to targeting, now I have huge amount of options that all the users in the domain should get this, or all the computers in this IP address range should get this setting. So it implements on large levels, or it has its own way of implementing, although the policies also has domain level, site level, OU level. But here you can implement preferences according to CPU speed. Whichever computer has a CPU speed above than 2.0 megahertz or gigahertz, or disk space. So sometimes it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, if the disk space is less than 500, implement or map the drive for that user. So the criteria, there's a huge amount of new criteria available for any kind of preferences, according to the hardware, network settings, or application settings, even the time range, or according to the user. Just implement on this user. If I just go for user and match by SID. So if I'm connected to Active Directory and user 1, okay, I'm just implementing on one user. So that's huge criteria that we need to go through. There are 2 labs for folder redirection and for mapping drive. But these are the options, these are main attractions in preferences and some of the points that we need to know about preferences, that how does that implement, how is it different from separate policies. So I'm giving you that slide with 121, PowerPoint slide with 121 slides. 2 labs are there for preferences. We can follow them after this class, or next Saturday class, next Sunday class, during the weekdays. But these are the options here, and we can create new preferences according to this, right? We get to know this, and I'll just send the slide again. Let me now. I knew that policies and it deserves that much time, but then there are other topics like server core. There are organizational units, Oh, about policies, we implemented also software deployment over the policies. So we tried to do that, and there were two types as well for software deployment. One was there are two ways we can deploy the software.
Assign and publish.
Yeah. Wow. What's wrong with you, man?
I don't know what's wrong with
No, you know that. Software deployment. No, that should be said with accent. Oh, chak de pate, like this, you know.
Or in English, picking up the table.
But in Punjabi accent. Oh, pick up the table. Oh man, the recording. Oh. Okay, so assign, deploy. The basic difference between assigning a software to all the users and what's the second deploy?
Publish.
I thought without my asking somebody would
I
correct me.
thought maybe Windows Server 2003 had this.
No, it never was there.
No.
Never ever was there. So publish, very easy. Assign means okay, not easy, not that easy. Yeah. Huh?
Automatic. It gets installed automatically to the client computer.
One word for this is
Forced.
one word for this is
You have no choice.
for publish
Optional.
optional. That explains the way we deploy this. That forced is that would mean as soon as the user logs in, the software starts getting installation in the background, or maybe you want the user to at least put their name and some information. So forced installation as well as optional installation, and it recognizes the files .msi, .zap. .msi is normally most of the Microsoft applications have the .msi version of their files as well to deploy the same applications from .msi with the .msi extension. So it's a one file, and .zap is, and we can also convert into .msi all the third-party software. But those converters are expensive. You have to buy those converters that convert to MSI. But it is your requirement, so maybe administrators have bought those converters and they have converted in order to deploy, because they were given the task, hey, deploy. We don't care how. So you don't have SCCM, then you have to go for converting those third-party software, which may not be so huge as well, the small software, but you have to deploy somehow. So .zap is also extension supported by the group policy software deployment. It is also for third-party packages. We create packages of those and then deploy those software. So in terms of group policy, we have to do a lot of labs next custom lab, but if you do most of the labs in the slide, that's covering. So at least 2 policies you have to implement and at least 2 preferences you have to implement. So that would be choose your any 2 policies, any 2 preferences, and deploy from any one of those. So assign or publish.
That's done remotely.
Yeah, that's done remotely, exactly. So that was the steps are there. We did that. There were some problems in the end. .msi was there available for optional as well as for publish and for assign. But we're going to repeat that in custom lab. Wherever we are stuck, we are going to go through that. The main purpose is to have successful implementation. We're not stuck somewhere.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah,
Go ahead, please. You're senior.
you're senior.
Your question?
No, you're senior citizen, please.
I was about to ask,
Senior citizen.
what is the
That's-
publish? What happens when you publish a software?
We are all in shock right now. Anyway, yeah, you're saying. Yeah.
What happens when you publish a software? When
Publish
you
a
deploy it to
software.
Publish, yeah.
So it is appearing inside control panel of all those users.
Add remove programs? Or?
In let me show you. It's
Program.
it is in add remove programs, but there's a separate link for that. So it's let me just show you quickly.
Use it, install it or not.
So let's control the panel. Oh, control panel. So programs and features. So there is, yeah, this is install program from the network or get program. So if I go back, oh sorry, this install a program from the network, when you click that, that software shows here. If you have deployed it successfully, it would show right away there.
So I'm going to ask one question because maybe that gives you knowledge too, right?
Yeah.
Sign and publish, one of them cannot be used with a computer. Which one?
One of them cannot be used with a computer.
Yeah.
Assignment. Assign.
Sign. Wonderful.
Let others answer as well.
He's right. Sign means force, right? And you cannot force the computer. You can force the user. So for the computer, you can only use publish.
For the
For the computer, we can use only publish option. I got confused. Sorry.
okay, I was waiting for that.
No, the user, for the users, we can use both of them because we can force the sign, right? We can force.
No, we can publish also for the users. Is that what you're saying?
For the users, we can use both options.
Assign the publish. Yeah.
For the computer, that's assign.
Are you sure?
No. Yeah, that's published. On the computer, computer is published because you cannot force the computer, right? I was right the first time.
Why did you get confused?
That's why I kept quiet. Let's see. Anyway, 10 minutes to break, and let's start another topic with that. We have covered the major concepts of group policy, but the 121 slides there for group policy would definitely cover more areas, and with screenshots of most of the labs. Let's go for any problem with the server core. What we did was, I'll just put the major steps. Any concept that is, because this is a straightforward click next type of lab, server core. So, So, what about the server core? So I'll put the major steps here, and you would just recognize why this and why not this. If we go for server core, one-liner for server core, it is command line. One benefit, takes up less hardware resources, so less HW resources. Command line, it's a command line which is a feature. Like what's the benefit? What is the other benefit? Security. Command line security, because it has very less footprint. It does not have a graphical interface, so 70% of the attacks happen on graphical interface because there's so much coding is involved there. Now there's a nano server coming in next 2 years, which is nano server, which is even smaller than server core, and it's something strange for cloud actually. So server core, less hardware resources, command line, and security, and we can have multiple multiple roles installed. So already it's not taking hardware resources, and we can have so many roles installed on this one machine on command line, actually with PowerShell as well.
Is there any requirement for this solution or no?
64-bit for 2012.
Amit, this is very interesting you just mentioned. I'm not clear on this. When some people say 64-bit
hardware
processor,
and
someone
processor.
say the software must be compatible with 64. Can you
So
please
it's
give me just
the
a brief, right?
hardware architecture where the processing speeds are much higher than the 32-bit hardware. So the hardware architecture is different. 32-bit would support 32-bit application, 64-bit would support 64-bit and 32-bit
How will I know
applications.
this software is, can be used on a 64 or 32?
So software, when we are buying a software, we can just go to the website. What does it support? The vendor would tell definitely right away. The main site is the vendor. But when you install, so installation requirements, basic requirements are always there in the documentation. We also, when we're buying, first we go for the vendor document for requirements of the document. So is it a 64-bit or a 32-bit? So they would just say on the introduction of the.
It's backwards compatible, so 64-bit machine can run a.
It can run 32-bit software as well.
There's a compatibility mode and you
Yeah.
can adjust the machine.
So now normally it's 64-bit all available for 2012 and onwards. Everything is 64-bit hardware architecture. If you have 32-bit, it's not going to install that. It's going to detect that and say no way. Change it to a 64-bit hardware, processor, motherboard, and then tell me everything should be hardware should be 64-bit architecture. This is where I'm coming again and again. Yep.
Okay, fine.
So 2012 R2, 2008 R2 is also only 64-bit. 2008, which is not R2, is 32 and 64-bit. 2012 is all 64-bit, totally. And new hardware are all coming 64-bit. Now we don't hear 32-bit, right? So multiple roles are installed here, and the major steps were. Starting major steps. Okay, install server core in an empty machine. Then go for, once installed, then basic configuration. There was a file called, you have to run that file and it will initiate that menu based configuration as config. Wow. Hey, oh, okay.
He's teaching me.
Where's the memory guy, man?
Thank you so much.
No, no problem.
He
you
accept
should
it.
I
Again,
accept
first time
it.
you accepted
No, I always accept it.
S config.
But he told us he isn't
Man, you're speaking Urdu, man.
So that's why he's giving
Yes, Urdu is good,
It's
actually.
not bad.
Yeah. So basic configuration is sconfig. There is a third-party file utility called corefig.ps1. That's a PowerShell utility. If we run this, mount this to the server core and run this, it has also a graphical menu, but it has lots of options, while sconfig is a built-in and it has basic configuration, IP, rename, join domain, time change. But this will add lots of roles for you, that this will have much more options too. Then it's a third party. It's from a MVP myself, very special guy.
We didn't do that one, right?
We did only sconfig because, and there's a reason I wanted to do that. This is till now released for just 2012, but not for R2. And I installed it actually in one class, and we wasted half an hour for that. Then we realized that, so in 2008 we used it all the time for configuring server core. But in 2012, so R2 version we are waiting for that. But it's very good once. So if you Google the core fig, you would just find it right away. But after that, the main task of, or the main attraction in server core in 2012 is that it can be converted to GUI and back to core. Exactly. That's the main attraction. That's the revolutionary attraction in Windows 2012, that you can convert it to GUI and back. And we had to go through 4 commands to actually, so the 4 one of the 4 commands were, the steps for those were that first you mount the ISO of 2012, decide which edition to load when converting to GUI. So you can load standard edition, you can load data center edition, it's up to you, as long as we select that. And then decide which edition, mount the ISO, and then mount the ISO to a folder. Actually it is mount the ISO to a newly created folder, and then decide which edition to load, and then simply run the command to load GUI, graphical interface. And once it's loaded and it takes time, then you restart, it restarts, and you can log in, then log in to graphical interface after restart. So I'll just add here load GUI and restart. So log into GUI there, make, now our lab was make it a replica DC. That was one function we wanted to add. And then we wanted to convert it back to not the command prompt. You can have 2 options here. Convert it back to command line as and with server manager working. So server manager will open while in the background you just have a command line, or convert it just to command line where we found it in the first place when we installed it. So our lab was that we converted back to a different mode where the command line is there in the background, but server manager also loads, and it still occupies less memory, less hard disk, and less processing if you go for just the server manager and command line. But if you go for command line, of course, very small footprint. So this was the major steps for the labs. Break? Server core, did you do that lab? Because now in custom lab we are going to be doing that.
I only did that in class. That's all I did. I never did that.
Okay, so yeah, so
I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I just don't really understand it to the depth of like understanding policies and stuff.
understanding the exact doing the steps, or what is the purpose of deploying a server core in the first place?
The purpose of deploying server core.
So what's the purpose? It's to save your space, hard disk space.
Yeah, save on resources. It's like kind of like having like a physical server, but it's
So it's a physical server you install, but maybe you wanted to decommission that. You don't need that physical server anymore.
okay.
So you use it for, you install this server core, and then you install one, and you convert it to a domain controller and DNS, that's it. So that server which was already you didn't require because of maybe less hard disk space, less memory, it may have just 8 GB or 16 GB memory, and you have now in companies 32 GB and 64 GB, 128 GB memory servers. So you wanted to get rid of it. Instead, you just install a very small footprint application or OS called server core, and just add a role that already does not take memory, domain controller, and install Active Directory and DNS on that. Or you can install Hyper-V on that if it's a high-end machine, very good hardware, but you don't want the OS to take all the memory in between. So you just install this very basic OS and then add the role of Hyper-V. What does Hyper-V do?
We are
Creating virtual machines.
yeah.
So we create virtual machines on that. So virtual machines will have most of the hardware available for them, and the middleman, which is the operating system, it does not have a graphical interface at all. So it will be just command line, so it's not going to take any memory processing or hard disk space.
I remember the diagrams you drew there, but the initial thing, it takes up
Yeah.
NDA space.
Exactly.
If you have this, it,
Yeah.
it's very little.
Exactly.
So you
Right
mean
there.
people are using this
We are.
for V?
We are using it like crazily now.
Like in the
Because,
market,
huh?
everybody's
No, we have a huge VMware environment, but we are using server core with Hyper-V. This is a very attractive combination. To put 3 or 4, we are using that in our at least 8 new servers, which are very expensive and very high-end servers. But we wanted to run 4 or 5 servers on that instead of just one. So now we're going for Hyper-V with on the server core. But we can install a DNS as well. The main advantage of server core is you can have at least more than 15 roles also installed, plus whatever you want to do with Hyper-V. So that's why server core is, very beneficial.
Perfect.
So, okay, break.
Yes, to the break, please.
All right. Break.
glorifying.
Does it?
You really enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay. It was not recording. So what did we miss? Okay, I'll repeat that. Yeah, you're saying? Sorry.
Now, how do we access the schema? When we access the schema, that's actually going to the schema.
To inside the schema. ADSI edit takes us inside the schema.
That's the same thing. That's the role that's.
Yeah, that's the schema role, and we make those changes anywhere in the schema. Just like in registry, we follow a document from Microsoft. We follow a document in. So once we had to make a change inside the schema for our Exchange server, because of the old name was hard coded there, and we wanted a new name, which we just installed a new Exchange server. We wanted to add that. It's supposed to automatically add inside the domain. It was not, so we had to go inside ADSI edit to schema and change that.
We add that snap into the Microsoft Management Console.
Exactly.
By doing REGS RB32,
Yeah.
right? And then we have access to schema.
So in order to edit the schema,
Yes, your question.
this is the schema role he is trying to say. And then how to go inside and edit the schema? We use ADSI editor. ADSI edit to edit the schema role, and schema would show you the skeletal structure of all the Active Directory, which will be mainly Active Directory users and computers.
And that has the basic classes, attributes, and everything in there.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
How will you go see which role is installed where? How will you judge?
I don't know.
So we did that lab for. So which roles are?
Command line, netdown query, FSMO. Just type that. I will show you which role is installed where.
Yeah. So there's a command. There's a command to know which roles are installed where, and that's netdom query. There's a third
Space FSMO.
FSMO. Netdom. So this is netdom query FSMO. If you want to know from command line, what roles are there?
Which
Yeah.
role is where stored, right?
So
Because
we
you have
always
transfer later, right?
have.
You have to make a transfer.
Yeah.
So did you understand that?
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay.
For 6 months.
No, but this is a good addition to what we're talking about.
I mean, that's
Yeah. So we get to know what roles are installed, right? Then we had a PowerShell substitute for that. Yeah, what PowerShell we did in the PowerShell, we get dash forest, I just AD forest and AD domain. So that also gave that, but this is the command line in the non-PowerShell. It's just doing the same thing. Yeah. So PowerShell, we talked about the PowerShell, but this is also the command line for knowing the roles are where the roles are located. Okay, thank you. And domain naming master, very easy task. Hey, did we write this before for FSMO? No, right? Like this?
No, not like
Not like this,
If
right?
you do like this, it's gonna make our life very easy.
Yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Yeah, no, but
Similar point, huh?
I was just thinking that
Like domain
like
naming
DHCP and
system.
DNS, did we do that like
You're
that?
gonna write in front of that, removing and adding domains, right? That's the job of domain naming master, right?
Removing and adding? Exactly. Just like the name says.
Just in the
So-
short word, so we went 6 months after we see, oh, that's what.
You're famous for memorizing very, even very
Long time.
long time back things. So domain naming master, but I'm very surprised about the exam. Your memory is famous here.
You know what? Why I failed?
There are few more people here, but you're, you know.
This sort thing, I play on my truck and I get it. But
Okay.
Time-
When he had to look at it.
I told him get me a job and I
Yeah,
also
I
want to
don't
drive
get time on the computer. These are the problem for me. This is the problem with me. I don't get time.
It's innovative.
No. There's a solution here. My brother used to do that. He is a doctor, but when he was preparing, that's like long back, he used to read everything and record. Then he would hear that recording.
I'm gonna do this.
Question, answer. Question, answer. Question, answer. So his memory was like,
That was
whoa.
400
That's
questions.
not fair
No,
competition.
once I tried.
You're in the drug, you're this thing, we are not this.
No,
You should start
I
building trucks now.
I can.
You should all-
I tried this time too.
Create.
What is this?
See, this is the question I was trying to do it. But later I decided.
What is that?
You want to hear that?
Yeah, what is that? Play that.
Later the
I want to hear it. Play it.
This
Hey,
is,
you have fans now,
I
man.
have 400 questions, right? I said, my God, I have to sit whole day for this. That was you pointing, right?
This is you?
Yeah, I'm giving a lecture, buddy, in Hamad College.
Oh, it's-
No.
oh, okay, so
Sorry,
Urdu as
it's
well.
in Urdu.
Oh, man. Okay.
You should start reading
आप
Urdu.
उर्दू में मिलेगा lecture, you will get right? If you say in Punjabi, I can give you in Punjabi.
Oh, in French as well.
Bachcho.
In French.
Yeah. He's a master, man.
Translator.
So, what is Red Master one-liner?
That's used for a city, yeah.
Distribution of SIDS. It is, when we go down deep, it's a complex procedure. Distribution, that basically if this is missing, so they always say, why is it this role important? So they ask the first question, hey, if this machine goes down, if there was a machine that only had this RID master role, and this goes down, what will happen? At once we would realize, oh, it's that important?
If it goes down, we're not going to create any object.
Exactly. So distribution of SIDS. What about infrastructure master? That had that had some 8 traces. The changes. So let me just write. It traces the changes made in other domains that affect local domain. So whatever changes are going on and syncing back to us, whatever administrators are changing in any other domain, and is that changes are syncing to us as well and affecting us. Any group policy implemented in another domain which is affecting our users as well, it will trace that, which is a huge task. There are changes going on in medium to large environment all the time. So that's why infrastructure master role is, this is a busy guy and cannot be combined with, as per your yesterday's question, it cannot be combined with the GC. So,
But you know what? I checked that the answer you gave me, right? You
yeah.
said,
Oh my God. Okay. That I'm bracing myself now.
no, but the question is like,
Okay.
we cannot
Okay.
install this role on a global
Not
catalog
recommended.
server, right?
Yeah.
In the forest.
But
when you have only one domain,
mhm.
right? You don't have multiple domains. In the multiple domains, you are not supposed to do it. A single domain,
No, within the single domain also, this
you have
role.
no choice.
Yeah, if we are a small organization, just
You have no choice.
ignore
you have
this.
to install this role with. There's only one domain, and
so for the Microsoft just gives one answer for this. which is if you have more domain controllers and all have GC role, many domain controllers and all have GC, then it's okay to just have these roles combined together in one server. That's the answer. But the main thing is that what main concern was that it's going to use a lot of memory, processor, and HDD IOs. It's not HDD space, it's HDD IOs always.
It's a lot
So
of,
together, these would take a lot of double hardware.
The reason I
It
got
will overhead on the
there
tower.
was a question.
yeah, the reason I got for not installing that
Oh.
for the reference. That's all.
Oh, okay.
For the reference?
That was the reference. Not
No,
this.
because there was an exam question.
This is a
There was an exam
Exam
question
question, yeah.
regarding this. That there was a,
okay.
if it's installed on the same domain controller,
which has a global catalog.
which has a global catalog also, and sometimes in the permissions, I don't know, it said that something about the names being different or something. I don't know if it was
Okay.
Yeah, right.
the names were showing up as a.
So what was the question? You could just email that question. We could just talk about that.
Answer was
The
changed to
forest,
different.
the forest, if there are different domain controllers,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to install this role on the global catalog first. Right? If it's a single, then you can install it. Why they are not asking for in a multiple domain environment? Because of the references. And the global catalog is also has a partial.
And it's also
Partial,
collecting
it's also getting
nearly
back
the
to-
same information.
Oh, so getting
All the changes.
Can you get a confused?
So infrastructure master traces all the changes back to whatever's affecting the local domain, while global catalog is having partial information of all the objects, which so both roles are very heavily used. So it could cause some serious. It was in the past that now we have high-end machines, high-end hardware, so it's not much of. But in a large organization, yes, it could still have effect on your hardware. It depends on you can just do the network monitoring for the traffic and maybe just change the roles if it really is too heavy. Otherwise, normally it's not that heavy that our latest hardware cannot afford that to check that.
Infrastructure role? It should have done the same.
What does PDC emulator do? Now there are 5 things we discussed about that. Yes, so time sync. There was specific scenario for that. Everyone got this command? So I'll just let down query.
Double RY. Double RY.
No.
Single.
No, singular.
Okay, net dom query FSMO. Okay, time sync. Then there was a specific scenario for password. If there are password conflict, then this role resolves it. There were 3 more tasks to it. Anyone remembers the third task? Web something. Right. Notes, guys, notes. So this is a review. Okay, let me just open this line.
Oh, group policy conflict.
Well, there was a password conflict, time sync. There were 3 more things. Let me just open the slide because this is just a recap and I did not memorize all that. FSRM setup. There it is. FSMO. Hello, Mr. FSMO. Oh, so that's the lab and machines needed, objectives, create. Oh man, that's lab. So then, hey, nobody had the notes? Come on, we could have just done that. Oh yeah, there it is. So pretty similar to changing. Yeah, it's the master browser changing domain account passwords, and then time synchronization across domain members. Group policy changes. Okay, yeah. So the conflict was with group policy, and the password thing was with the password is the PDC emulator ensures that password changes replicate to other domain controllers. Sorry, I mixed that. So there is group policy conflict. So 5 things here, and password changes are just followed up. Whatever passwords have been changed. So PDC emulator ensures that password changes replicate to other domain controller. Password changes change replication. So we could just give it keywords password change replication. And then what? And group policy change conflicts and domain master browser. The PDC emulator provides clients with a list of work groups and domains when the client is browsing the network. So PDC emulator role is down. We will definitely know right away because of many of the day-to-day tasks that is doing. So putting it into fewer words is helps clients browse the network. So all the machines show up, all the domains, if there are more than one domain, show up. The client can actually see and connect to the required destination. These are 4 tasks. So there are total 4. Okay, so we went for infrastructure master, we went for RAID master, we went for seizing operations. No, that's a lab. So the main thing about FSMO roles, what we did was we transferred. So the scenario in our case was there are 2 types of scenario. Why do we need to change? Why do we need to transfer the roles? Scenario number 1.
If we are decommissioning the domain controller.
So this means it could be an older hardware because of that. Change of DC hardware. What other scenario was there to transfer FSMO roles?
Upgrading it from
2012. So okay, this is called migration. So we are migrating from 2008 infrastructure structure to 2012. Even if we were migrating from 2003 infrastructure to 2012 domain controller or forest wise, we would be migrating. The only task we would be doing in 2003 or 2008 would be the FSMO role transfer of the 2003 or 2008 domain controller to 2012, and then we can safely decommission. It will be then just a member server. Later, no, not a member server. It will still be a domain controller, but without FSMO roles. Without FSMO roles, so whoever has the FSMO roles, we can create a forest out of that. We can change those forest level. New forest levels will be introduced for us, which are supporting 2012 features when we change those FSMO roles to. And then we can demote this 2003 or 2008 to member server. Demote the next step after transfer. Demote it. So just removing active directory would demote it to a member server. And then finally decommission, which is just uninstall or format. Uninstall properly is better. This join from domain would be the last step, and then uninstall. Decommission that server. So the major steps for you're changing the whole infrastructure forest and domain level to 2012. You would just transfer FSMO roles. After that, remove active directory from 2008 to 2003, and then disjoin it from domain, and then format the shut down and format. Oh, not format and shut down. Shut down, format. Okay. So this is what we did. Transfer from 2008 to 2012 FSMO roles. Schema was always hidden, and we had to run a command called to unhide schema. There's a command to unhide the schema. The command was schmmmgmt.dll. No, this is one part.
REGS RQ32.
Reg SVR32. SVR32 space schmmmgmt, and then just run it. And if it's successful, then you would be able to see schema master inside the MMC. Then run MMC, which is Microsoft Management Console, and through the snap-in you can import the schema master role to see that role. So this role was hidden, schema master role was hidden, but all other roles, so domain-wide roles were in Active Directory sites and services. So you nodded. I got you right there, man. So the three domain-wide roles were found in Active Directory sites and services.
Yes.
I got you again. I got you now.
So you have to click the domain, right?
Active Directory,
Library.
sites and services.
And if you want to see the
Three
forest,
domain-wide roles, yeah.
then you have to click the forest. Right?
You go into domains and trust. Domains and
Oh man, you're very near, but not exactly. No, this is just a
You're saying that you want to access the roles? Or
three domain-wide roles. Where do you go?
The domain.
any domains and
Users and computers, not sites and services or domains and trust. Three domain-wide roles. These three in Active Directory, users and computers, right?
Yeah.
And the other one is domain.
Domains and trust, which you were saying, which is domain naming master.
Okay.
This is in ADDS, Active Directory Domains and Trust, ADDT actually. You go there, ADDT. If I just write here ADDT, you would be confused. Like, okay, I'll just write here with the arrow ADDT. Hey, what was that? Well, WWF guy who would use DDT, which was like, so it would crush the head on the floor of that other wrestler. I don't like wrestling at all. Man. Well, and the domain-wide. So this is ADDT, which is Active Directory Domains and Trusts. There are only three major, destinations for Active Directory destinations. Wow, icons. Active Directory users and computers. Daily we use that. Active Directory sites and services. Once we have to configure for telling Active Directory we have branches now, and Active Directory domains and trusts to create trust relationship between child domain, forest trusts, everything about. That's also additional branches. So ADDT here, and this is three domain-wide roles. This is all exactly ADUC, Active Directory users and computers. What about the schema? This is hidden. Schema is hidden. You have to unhide it by this command. Active Directory reg svr32 scmmmgmt.dll, and then you have to go to run and type this mmc and press enter. Then you have to import the role inside schema management. Schema role inside the MMC or Microsoft Management Console. So
we can access it by doing ADSI, by going to ADSI edit, right?
we went in. No.
Once we unhide it,
Yeah, once we unhide, then we go to MMC. Go to run and type MMC. It will open a empty console. So I can just quickly do that.
we add the snap in with MMC.
That's
we save it, and then
exactly.
after we can access it through ADSI.
then okay. So these are two different things.
Isn't it so there?
So ADSI edit for editing any of the partitions of Active Directory, including schema. That's not the only door to the schema. It gives access to other partitions as well, domain partitions as well, configuration partitions, and this is the schema showing all the skeletal structure.
Only for the schema, we have different.
Yeah. So and it is hidden because of the sensitivity of this role. It is hidden.
Microsoft doesn't want everyone to see this.
Just like registry, reg edit.
It's very
You
important actually.
yeah.
All the objects.
You're serious, right? Okay. Okay.
I have a question actually. If root domain gets crushed, right? And we have a forest,
Root domain
root domain, and
gets.
we have a forest level master root on that.
You mean root domain controller gets crashed? Crashed.
Root easy card crashed.
That's exact overlap coming. But if it's the only one you're saying,
Yeah, because you know what?
it has to be always minimum 2.
There
Yeah.
is schema and domain naming.
All go down.
Only
They cannot be copied. They can only be moved. So if you have 2,
Yeah.
you have survival chance. Otherwise, get that particular one up, as soon as possible.
as we said, we always have 2 domain controllers, right?
Then just
We always have 2.
then we have just a 5-minute lap.
Then we say when the forest is created, domain is created first time, these 2 roles are installed under root domain.
Yeah, the 2 forest wide roles and 3 domain wide. Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
And when we have a replica DC, so definitely these 5 rows are particular or no? No, right? No, the question is the first one, root domain, got crashed. And we need to these rows, right? They're very important.
So,
Schema and
exactly.
they're very important.
So the seize command, especially, that's the trick about it. That PC is crashed, you can't even ping it. How can you get the roles out of that? You just have to activate the roles on the other one. It will have that. You can say it's a standby copy of those FSMO roles. Every domain controller has that,
On a replica DC.
but it's never activated unless you run that command to activate or transfer the roles. Transfer means you're activating the roles actually there on that PC server. So if it is crashed, the copy was always there, but it's never activated. It's like a standby copy. You just activate
Are we
it.
going to activate it in lab or not?
So we did the peacetime transfer, the crash or the wartime. As I say, it's not a terminology.
So what does seize means? To transfer the roles or
Seize.
to activate the roles?
What it does in background is activate the roles because it is crashed. We're going to crash the server.
So technically, if a server crashes, then you're basically seizing the roles on the other
Exactly.
server.
Exactly. So
That's what you're
seizing
doing.
from this, which it is meant that we're removing the name of this server as a role holder, and we're adding the name of that second server as a new role holder. So basically in the background, it's activating.
It was one of the exam questions as well. That
Oh, okay.
the server crashes, then what you do, and then it said that seize
Seize.
the roles on
The command, there are 5 commands you have to run.
Yeah.
Each role, 1 command. Seize. Inside this NTDS util, the 5 commands we can see, otherwise we cannot see that. So there's a full lab for that to run those commands and seize
Can I
those.
do that?
Oh yeah. No, but it's for 11.
For lab?
In 411. Okay, so we have any questions about FSMO roles, because that was not important but not complicated. All the topics. Then there is FSMO roles. Any question? Any more questions? You took the picture? Clear. Oh, okay. Oops. Shall I make a pose like? I'm there, so why not? Smile. You're. Okay, so this one you got, right? So I was gonna take, but so we all have to upload to the WhatsApp. Thanks. Okay, no question, right? Okay. Deployment services. There were 2 labs we did. Windows Deployment Services is used for deploying OS only over the network and OS plus applications, a working computer image over the network to empty machines, right? So I'm going to write that. Okay. WDS, major task. Okay, thank you. So WDS, Windows Deployment Services. So deploying OS over the network as well as, oh man, so working as well as an image of a working machine with OS, drivers, and all applications installed. So we can deploy these two options, but there is more. Then there is a feature called multicast. So we can go for 30 or 300. Okay, 300 is a very crazy figure, but anyway, our LAN is that good, or fiber channel maybe. We can go for 300 images deployment over the network, 2 empty machines. So 30 images, for example, would take the bandwidth of one image on.
What is the best practice? How many computers and how many computers should apply OS
in previous
at
job?
at one time?
Yeah.
So
So
we can
it depends on, is your network busy? It depends on, is your network good bandwidth wise, Cat 5, Cat 6 cables and 10 GB network cards and switches that support that are deployed there. If yes, and the network is not being used. So I used to deploy images during night, during weekends. I know the network is free, and I would go for 30 or even 50 machines. Just deploy it, make sure they started, then come in the morning, still Saturday. So Friday night I would do that, so there's still 2 days to troubleshoot. And whenever I went there, always 2 or 3 machines would fail. So I would just reply them again for maybe network issues, cable issues, or the current local hardware issues that they did not install fully and there was a error. And multicast has, so main objective, deploys OS over the network, and also GPO also deploys applications over the network, and also you can deploy all the images with application installed from GPO through assign to the network. Why did I just give away the smile? Why not?
GPO uses only MSI format.
So
Why?
we can have image captured in MSI format and deploy.
That's a Win file. Who's being installed?
Okay, you got me there. You still have a good reason. We can have a package converted to MSI. So GPO does not have nothing to do with OS. It's only applications. But WDS will deploy OS, but WDS will not deploy only applications. GPO will not deploy only OSs or anything OS plus application.
But WDS can deploy operating system
Plus
within
application.
plus
As long as OS is there.
OS is there, yeah.
So an SCCM, okay. So WDS, then there's a GPO, then there's SCCM. Now that's everything included, all in one.
But I have one question now. If WDS can deploy OS's web installed application on that, then what about the licensing? And if we have application which is installed on a specific computer, we install it on 30 other computers through WDS,
We must have the license first.
you must have the license first.
Office for 30 users,
Yeah.
30 users license. And when we get, so big organizations get volume licensing. One key for all.
For all of
So they do give you a limit that you can deploy 500 machines with this one key, or 1,000 with this. So one of my student in Saudi Arabia, he had a volume license key of some ministry, So they were like 2008 server, at least 8,000 times we could have installed that. So that got distributed to all the students everywhere, installing until after 4 years I got the key. Then it said, okay, you ran out of those volume licensing. But the ministry would be like, what? We paid fortune.
Ask him, does he have other programs like with volume, this ministry licensing?
No, I also
we need a lot of
got to know that later that it was a ministry key that was working. He was saying it would work. It would work. I'm just giving a key. So after 4 years, hey, it's not working. It was a ministry. Oh shoot!
Can happen, I mean.
Did you study in
It-
Pakistan International in Riyadh?
Hey.
Oh,
He's looking at your LinkedIn.
Yeah,
I was looking at it too, actually.
I thought you guessed it. You just broke my heart. You just broke my heart. You know what? I kind of thought that I saw you somewhere before, but maybe it does.
He's never been to Riyadh.
Hey, buddy, what you have my dad was ambassador.
Oh,
Wow, ambassador.
so that's, I know now. I have the link now. Yeah.
That's why you know French and everything else.
No, but this
Serious?
guy might have got that from your.
No, did you study that or no?
Huh? Yeah,
Studied,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Adnan also studied.
yeah. We're all in Saudi Arabia all our life.
Oh, actually, I met one guy.
Oh.
He studied there. Very-
Oh, come on, man. I thought you were there. Okay. Oh, hey, were you guys looking on LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's
And I'm like,
it's on every email that you send us. And
Yeah, you have
Oh,
it
yeah.
on LinkedIn too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But your
Okay.
WhatsApp name is dude from 2015.
what? You know that? Where am I putting all this information?
And your address is not.
Okay. Some privacy I'm gonna put today. Whoa. All my history and life is there. Cool. Not cool, but cool. Okay. Anyway, so multicast, we can also deploy images together. Or at particular time. We did that exercise together thing, that one image would wait for the other to reach at the start point, and then both will start installation. So it had its own benefits. Major steps included were major steps. So install. You must have a DC DNS, DHCP already in working condition, especially DHCP tested if it is working. Then you install WDS. Once you install WDS on the same server, all 4 roles on same server, then you had those options of stop listening on port 67. Because of DHCP WDS listening both on the same port, that and they will be given by the operating system dynamically assigned ports to listen to their traffic, DHCP traffic, DHCP clients, and WDS traffic, WDS clients. It's not recommended to put those roles on the same machine, but it's a lab. So then we had to deploy, there was a pre-approved which is called pre-staging. Sorry? Okay. Pre-staging, but what did you hit?
Oh, it's just
Oh, okay. No, you were saying it is this. No, this is, I thought, okay. I agree with what you say. It's okay. I mean, I'll just remove that. Anyway, so you wanted to make a point. Oh, this is it. Okay. Anyway, so pre-staging, one-liner. What is pre-staging? What is involved in that? So first of all,
Yeah, pre-staging means programming putting the computer ID or MAC address in the known computer list, so that it's
Inactive
pre-approved.
root. Yeah.
So that when it's WDS installs it, it's known to the WDS server.
so and the purpose of pre-staging is
So the devices which you're going to install in the future, and then move on.
you would know what you're installing, and this is what we purchased, and it's not something new other than what we already know IDs of. Yep.
It's like
Oh,
preset
okay.
configuration.
I thought you were coming up with some question, a very interesting
No, I
question,
have
because
one
the
question.
impressions.
No, I have one question.
Okay. Yeah, you were saying?
Preset configurations, pretty much.
Okay, yeah, this is exactly preset already. So machine information is already known by the Active Directory. So that's the known client. Yeah.
Or what do you say about the pre-staging? Just write it.
Oh yeah, sure. So adding machine, I could just go for machine MAC address. To the WDS pre-stage option. So WDS would know this hardware this hardware would know this hardware joining this network. So it will be known. So you can select that setting called known clients only.
So WDS only works inside a domain. I mean, if
The prerequisites is this. It's not a standalone.
But
Cannot work
DHCP
standalone.
can issue IP addresses to
Anyone.
computers outside
Whichever
the router,
is
right?
pingable, yeah. Whichever is in the pingable range. Even outside with the router if you're connected.
Yeah, so you
Your
have to
ping?
control what you're, I mean,
So
No, I got
if
your
you
question, what you mean.
if you have security issues, then you can pre-stage it.
There is
Pre-stage
one option
is-
during this when it says
approved.
known and unknown.
That's what I'm saying,
You have
yeah.
to click that one.
Yeah.
So
So
that's what I mentioned.
if you implement this, then go for just known,
Yeah.
which is the second option from the top.
If you mention that one, then it's gonna issue IP address to
Yeah.
whatever comes, right? My question is, you said in a major step only DC, right? Can we install it
On another, it is normally installed on a member server.
member server? It's not a DC, but it's member
No,
server.
no,
It's a
no.
part
We
of.
just our labs environment that we don't want to have 3 machines or 4 machines up. Instead, we can have 2 machines up.
So it's not compulsory that
No,
WDS
it's
only
supported,
be-
not compulsory.
But you mentioned DC, so that's why you were assuming that maybe that's a
Oh.
requirement.
Only member server can also do that.
Oh,
It's only-
okay. So there's a confusion now. Now I get it. That on DC, we in our lab did that, but in the network, these 3 roles must be working in the domain.
In the domain.
It should be
In the domain,
working
okay.
in any other server, which is a requirement.
But-
But in our case, we just put it
But then the computer will be added to the computer's.
to the WDS. WDS has the pre-staging option.
No, but then if we have a domain controller also, then this computer which has been pre-staged, this will be added to the domain controller.
There's a pre-staging
OU
option in
also,
Active Directory as
yeah,
well.
thing, yeah.
Exactly. So the name would be added, and the MAC address would be added there as well. So
No, but it's not important. It's compulsory that we must have a DC.
no,
Member server can. do
especially we should not have that in
We
production
have the
environment.
DNS and DHCP in the
In the network, in the
on the
domain.
network, not
Yeah, not on the same
Okay.
hardware. Okay, so major steps. Well, pre-staging was supported there. Then we have known, unknown clients, and pre-staging is for known clients, but we selected unknown clients. Then we have had to check approval for the administrator, which is an extra authentication step that we can take. So the machine won't start until the administrator does not approve within the WDS console that this machine can install or not. This is just an extra step for security. Otherwise,
That
I haven't
comes
used it.
underneath that one.
Underneath that
Known
one,
as
exactly.
under known, when you click that one,
yeah,
then you have to
then the second
check
step
this
is-
one. Yeah.
exactly. Go. So now, once this is done, then we had to add the Vim file of the OS that need to be deployed, and Vim files would be added to install images and boot images. So boot images folder inside the WDS will get the boot.vim of the required OS. So this OS could be, of course, a server or a client. Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows or a client. So this OS could be any one of those. They all come with the boot.vim and install. And boot images folder, this is a folder. And then there's a install images folder, which is install.vim. So these both files need to be installed for whichever client version or whichever 7, 8 or now 10 coming. So once we add the boot.vim of Windows 7 and install.vim of Windows 7 to these respective folders, we are at once ready for the first lab at least. So once these images are added, then we can deploy just an OS on an empty machine. Wow, two machines drama. Okay, empty machine over the network. So the whole thing is available over the network. Once we only complete these two steps for one OS, that OS, only OS, can be deployed on an empty machine over the network. So for empty machine, but we had configured one more option, so we don't have to press F12. What was that option?
Automatically.
Or so, yep. The third option in the on WDS boot tab, we had for known clients and unknown clients the option of automatically boot to the network option. So it's in the documents as well. So, but we had to do that because for this step we don't want to do the F12 again and again. So, yeah.
So window will capture the image.
Yeah, automatically, because it's an empty machine, it doesn't have a, so it will automatically go there. If we press button, then what would happen? So we say that we don't have to press the button, but it does say if you press escape, then this operation will cancel or fail. So at that time we're not supposed to press anything. You just restart and just start the machine and sit back and enjoy the show until you are taken to that first wizard or window where either the credentials are asked or the operating systems are asked, or whichever the first window is. So this would be the first lab where everything would be available, where these are the major steps. Then we go for the second. Okay, all this is done.
Is there any role of NTFS in this or not?
Later, but not in this one. This is already an empty machine. But where you install WDS, that partition has to be NTFS. On the it's on the WDS server. That has to be NTFS. Okay, let's go ahead. So the major step for capturing image. This is done. I'm just going to remove that.
And you know about the fix, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the
I know about Pixie.
Where do you met?
No, I don't know.
She is in John, right? Fix, right?
Yeah.
You both met Pixie. Come on.
You don't know Pixie?
You're kidding me. Get out of it. Okay, I know.
I know that.
So second lab was how to capture. So what is Pixie? Capture.
You did it.
Is there
Pre-execution.
Is that the major step for the second one?
Yeah. So this is for the second lab. Capture image is the name. Pixie is the pre-boot execution environment. This is a technology found in all the servers, hard disks, and the hard disk boots from there. And I got you now. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, it's a network card thing. It's on a hard disk. Yeah. Whatever you say, just keep going.
Oh,
So-
that was last time.
God, man.
I know. I'm like, yeah, go
So
on, continue.
if I did not give it away, the smile, you would be. So this means,
No, I know about it.
What is
yeah, it's in the hard disk.
Latest technology, right?
it? I know.
Found in the hard disk.
Coming with the
I know that
peaceful
also.
execution, that PIC-C technology takes advantage of DHCP.
And it is
That's using that one.
placed where? Which hardware?
Which hardware?
Oh, this is not hot. This is not hot. Otherwise, I already dropped it. What happened to the genius maestro? Yeah.
It's very short if you have a time we have lost, but we never lost.
Yeah. Capture image. No, he was testing you. Actually. Oh, you.
We saw on network card.
Yes, it is exactly. So,
The question is, I just want to be clear on this.
okay.
PIC-C and network card, both are same?
No. So PIC-C is chip inside the network card. Chip. That's it. Chipset. That's all. Okay. So capture image. We have server side task and client side task. Yeah.
There was another thing, discover images. Does that have anything to do with this or?
Okay.
What?
Discover images I did not include in the lab. What it requires is that if we do not have a PXE card, enabled card, then we use a USB card or a DVD-ROM with network boot / DHCP discovery info. DHCP discovery info. So we don't have a network card that will automatically boot to the network. So we will have put USB. In old days it was floppy drive that we put. So USB and or DVD-ROM to do the PIC-C work for us. But that's like when there were fewer PIC-C card enabled. Now every card is PIC-C enabled. So server side tasked. Oh, what are the things? Task. Oh, now it's even weirder. Anyway, so server task. Now this was the trickiest part. So we had to right click. Oh, I should not be actually giving the step by step. But we had to. Yeah, this is the major step. Right click the boot image, and then create capture image. Capture image from boot image. So make sure we just have to make sure we are creating the boot capture image from a boot image of that machine in the OS. I had that drawing, so I was just going there. Anyway, so if we had decided that or we have added the OS Win7 Vim files, then make sure that when you're capturing the image, it is a Win7 working machine that you're capturing the image of, because your capture image is taken from a boot image, which is the image of a Windows 7 machine, right? So the capturing should be done for the Win7 working machine. We also call it the reference machine. So once we take the create capture image, and then we had to add to boot image. These are the three major steps. Actually, these are the only steps. Three only steps. Client side, give me the first step and the only step in client side. You need to capture the image. F2, F12. You were saying F2, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not this time.
But you're missing a very major step.
No, SysPrep. We have to
SysPrep.
right.
Come on. So, no, it's just kidding. So, SysPrep to shut down or restart, it's up to you. But we are missing one major change, one critical change that we have to do, otherwise it was never working. On the WDS console before we go to the client. Before going to client, there is one more step we need to do. Before going to client, we need to visit one tab, which is that boot tab, and choose F12 option. Back for the known and unknown clients. No, you were saying the other F12. Come on. F12 option, first you have to choose it. Otherwise what will happen? It's gonna boot from that working Windows. It's not gonna automatically go to and check the DHCP. So F12 option is there. If you are successful in pressing F12, which is a kind of a trick thing, although there were many errors coming, but these are the steps, then the capture wizard comes. The only other thing to worry about in capture wizard is that
The drive.
the drive letter must show. These are the major steps that we need to care.
Yeah,
take.
the
Letter.
If SysPrep is not done, it will not show.
Definitely. If
Yeah.
SysPrep is not done, no.
It won't show.
But even with SysPrep done, it may not show. So then we have to repeat the whole thing again for the client side only. And
First step should be SysPrep.
client side, first step is SysPrep. But before that, I already mentioned that server side. Oh, this is a server side. Sorry, I went to the client, but this is a server side last step. Since we are on the server, so we have to change it back to F12 option. That if we go with and remember these steps, I'm sure we do. Then and this is not in our control. Drive letter must show. If we are going according to plan, it should show. If it does not, it happened to me many times that I had to just go through this client side step again, and then it showed the second time. But then the main confusion area is once the image is taken. So it offers that you have to take the image, capture image, and store it where? Capture image and store locally. So guys, here in the document, I think everyone was confused in the document. I put the steps there. When you are deciding, I want to store it locally, and it was saying that, hey, store it locally. We should be storing locally, but that I mentioned in the document that we have to, that window has another option in the bottom which says click connect after. So first we have to put FQDN, same page, put FQDN off, WDS server, and click connect.
That option wasn't working.
That has to work because if your DNS is working, name resolution is working,
But we tried it in class, it wasn't working either.
when you click connect.
Yeah, that's why we stored it locally and then transferred it over the network.
So in the class, you have to do both steps at the same time, but it was not working. That's why we had to just go with one step, right? I had to troubleshoot that, and it was a ping issue. My firewall was open on my or there was some network issue. I was not able to ping, or I was not able to NS lookup.
So if you do it this way with the connect option,
Both.
yeah, right, then it will show up in the install folder automatically
Yes.
instead of you adding it.
Then we don't have to manually
Add.
take the image and put it in the.
Okay.
If you click connect
Yeah,
and
that
your
was-
connectivity was okay, your connectivity should be okay if the network card is okay because it started because of a network card is okay. Then NS lookup, and it all depends on basic network connectivity. That click connect must work. Otherwise, if it doesn't work, then what happens? You have to just place that image manually in the WDS server. But this, so I had to troubleshoot a little networking, and I found that okay, the connect worked. Once you place it on the server, the final step is, without that, the whole lab has no purpose. Once the image is taken, oh, now I don't have any space. So the final step is step finale. You have to add this capture image to install folder.
Will this image replace the capture image that's already there that you created from the boot.1?
The previous image that was
Previous
created?
image, No.
No. So when you now go to the new machine, it will show both images.
You
So
go back to the WDS
this week
server,
we will do
so-
together in the. Try not to do that on weekdays, but it's up to you. I'm just saying, do it with me. This lab, where we capture and put there and successfully deploy the working image. Yeah.
We will not need the other image that we created from the boot image, the capture image.
Uh,
Will we need that after this? or
which
no?
stage? After this, no.
No.
So this captured image,
Yeah, this
once
is
in the
final
install
image.
folder, will start showing in the
Okay, so this is
as
the
a second
final
capture image. Yeah. Final image is this for a working machine. So you will already have an image which is just an OS
This is OS, right? So we
Yeah.
don't need that basically.
from the first lab. We don't need that. Yeah. It should show there, which is okay whenever we need in future.
Are you saying that you're manually adding this to the install folder? The last step that you did?
If
No,
if this is not connected, connect.
If it
So
is not.
if it is failed, oh okay, I should add that. Yeah, we were talking about that, but I did not add it. So add this capture image to the install folder if
This is
the
the
connect
step
doesn't
that's
work.
missing, right, in that document?
Yeah.
That's why I think it created a lot of
Yeah.
confusion.
Yeah. So yeah, Nitin and you contacted and step by step on these steps, I told exactly the same thing to both of you. So that was good work.
So we only
You
do the
get the
second last step if the last one is.
yeah. If last one, if you get to connect, that's it.
So
So you will find that in the install folder. Then the next step is go to a new machine. So we will do that in custom lab, especially, and we will make sure at the last this is successful. But let's make take a record of this, that these are the major steps that we need to look over, and huh? Okay. Then we have storage spaces and Hyper-V and FSRM and
yes,
5
I agree.
Chutti. The way you say it, man, is like very Canadian Urdu. Chutti, it's like that. Okay.
So in the next class or is there leftovers? No, you can do it today. It's up to you.
We can do it in the custom lab as well, but we're going to do that anyway. So I'm going to be explaining during the custom lab as well. I'm going to put the major steps for these 3 topics as well while you are doing that. But right now, whatever time we have, or whatever, whoever is sitting, so we can complete this. This is taken? Oh, cool. Thank you. Taken and send. Hey, that was fast. Wajiva? Okay. No question? Yeah, today मौसम is सुहाना. मौसम है सुहाना.
We should open these slides. That's not like
We should have like a CANIPS barbecue.
Yeah. But in next 2 weeks, maybe it's 30 degree. We will be barbecue. So we will be on the menu. Hey, 9 barbecues. Anyone? Walking barbecues. So, Okay, quickly. Storage spaces. Storage spaces was there are new features introduced in the storage for Windows 2012, but we performed RAID 1 and 5 the old way, which is I wrote that language. Computer management. With this can be done also in Windows 2008 and also in 2012. But then we have the same RAID 1 and 5 with the file and share folder, file and storage inside the server manager of 2012. File and storage area. The main thing about this is what? How many hard disks we can afford to lose in the old way? For RAID 1. One hard disk we can afford to lose for RAID 1 and one hard disk we can afford to lose RAID 5. Here we can lose in file and storage 2012. So I'll just go for 2012 R2. And this is the old way, but it is supported in 2008, but we did it on 2012 because it's backward compatibility, we can say. We can have two hard disks, we can afford to lose two hard disks and still the RAID will be running. But the minimum requirement changes also. You need to have one hard disk, loss of one hard disk for RAID 1 and 5, loss of two hard disks for RAID 1 and 5. But minimum for RAID 1 in old way is 2 drives, 2 HDs. Minimum of RAID 5 drives are 3 hard disks must be there in 2008 way. And RAID 1 for minimum we need 5 hard disks, and minimum we need 7 hard disks to minimum there should be 7 there to have to take the loss of 2 hard disks for RAID 1 and 5 in file and storage services. Then we had that mixture of what is storage spaces and storage pools. Very simple.
And what about maximum?
Oh.
You can go no limit.
Like 32, you can just connect to a storage tower, storage area network, SAN, and that could have hundreds of hard disks. And we are running RAID over there, but if locally we have to run, then it's the capacity of the server. Some models contain 16 GB, 16 hard disk capacity, some have 8 hard disk capacity, some have, I didn't see myself 32, but we can Google it and there should be a huge. So yeah, that's 2 hard disks. HDD should be there. Storage spaces and storage pools.
So what do you mean by 2 minimum? That's how much is required.
2 minimum maximum in RAID 1. So there has to be 2 hard disks. One is a standby, not being used and just taking backup, and the other is just working. So half of the capacity is used in RAID 1. Okay. So 2 minimum hard disk, RAID 1, 1 loss of hard disk we can have. This table is done. Storage pools, storage spaces is another concept. Storage spaces is the collection of hard disks, or storage pools is the collection of hard disks. Hey, how do you know that? And you remembered, or is it?
I asked you to.
Okay, so it's a collection of. So this is a hardware section of hard disks, and the good thing about is this is that could be mixture of hard disks, SATA, it doesn't matter, SSD, SCSI.
SATA means
serial something. You know, it's abbreviation.
Synchronous transfer.
Asynchronous transfer atomic weapon. Okay. It's 2 o'clock Sunday with a Mosam Aswana.
So these are the names of the storage pool, right?
So these are the names of the hard disks that are available in the market. That normally in large organizations they go for SSDs only. But SATA and SSD, so even small size business or medium size business can have a collection of hard disks in one server, and they can make a storage pool out of that. And over that pool, suppose we have 10 SSDs here, and each SSD is 1 TB, 1 terabyte. So we have 10 terabyte here, mixture of 1 tera SATA, 1 tera SSD, half maybe. Doesn't matter. This is the beauty of the new storage system here, that you can create storage spaces on them, which means that you can create volumes on them with any type of combination. 10 hard disks, so 2 hard disks or 5 hard disks you can use for RAID 1, and then the rest of the 5 you don't use or keep it as a spare. Can have spare HDD. Spare HDD concept is, this is on a standby. This HDD is on a standby. So you lose one, you just it should automatically replace that, or it is available to be replaced within the storage pools. So you can play with mixed type of hardware. That's the beauty of 2012 storage spaces. And then there is first of all, you can create from this the new RAID 1 and 5, RAID 0 as well. So in RAID 0, RAID 1 we don't have much space. In RAID 5 we don't have much speed, and in RAID 0, RAID 0 we have lots of space but no redundancy. RAID 0 you lose one and that's it. Forget it. Forget the whole thing. So it's a mixture. We can create RAID 0, 1 and 5 here. Then there is storage tiers, which is can create storage tiers, which is just like a hybrid disk. What is a hybrid disk? SSD plus the normal SATA hard disk, and it only the way it works is that you have a collection of or a combination of SSD and SATA. So SSD, SATA, you create one full volume, but if there is a mixture of that, then storage tier option gets enabled. If there is a mixture, if there is just SSD it detects, then the storage tier option is not required at all. So what's the concept of storage tiers? Yeah.
How do you define storage tiers?
Yeah, so it is storage tiers is efficient use of hard disk IOPS. So let me define it and let me explain that. If you have a mixture of hard disk, SSD is fast and SATA is slower, then there's a hot data and there's a cold data. So frequently used data is hot data, which is redirected to
SSD.
exactly. Automatically, hot data, frequently used data is redirected to SSD. So the performance of the data of the software or application is increased for the end user, and cold data is redirected always to the slower area of this hard disk combination. So this is to offer those medium-sized companies which have a mixture of hard disks, which cannot buy expensive solutions. So their applications would still give better performance even if they have lesser amounts of SSDs. Any major application, their data would be redirected to the SSD portion for better performance. And so this is just an automatic, efficient use of available hard disks or mixed hard disks if you have. So the main concept is this, that efficient use of LED IOPS, input output per second. Hot data is redirected to SSD, redirected SSD, cold data to SATA or non-SSD drives. So it's automatically maintained if it discovers. But if all are SSD, what happens? They are all SSDs. They don't need storage tiering. Why? They are already fast. I mean, which portion you want me to manage? The whole portion, the whole area is so fast. I mean, it's all fast. But this is for those organizations where you already have invested something. You don't want to invest big on total SSDs. You just want to buy certain some amount of SSD, which is already pretty expensive for server. Server SSDs are all more expensive than normal SSDs. So you then still get the performance of full SSD with even if you have a mixture of SSDs there. So data is still efficiently used for those who are not doing a lot of investment. Okay, not much here in terms of, but the lab itself took a lot of time. Any questions here? Next week.
Next week.
First semester? That's even better. Is it chutti yet?
I haven't answered that.
Yeah, totally.
Was that westernized?
Westernized Urdu. Yeah, that was pretty much, yeah. So guys, how many Windows storage? Oh, just Hyper-V and FSRM. So you want to get Hyper?
Yes.
I meant Hyper-V. Oh, I don't even mean that.
Let's finish with Hyper-V, right?
Yeah, so Hyper-V is just 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
We will do.
So Hyper-V, for those who want to stay,
Only one.
Right.
No, after that, FSMO.
It's done. No, the last one, the DCP in the
last two are done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will do next time. Just do the Hyper-V.
Also,
Everybody, we have a stamina menu set. All the others have a stamina. मैं बैठा हूँ लोगों पे
अब कौन है इमाम कौन है
So I'll just quickly wrap it up. In Hyper-V, we just the major steps. So we know all that it's virtualization, and yeah, if you want to leave, it's okay.
He's staying for us, basically.
Okay, representing the leader.
So
Yeah.
by next week we should know the exam question, that thing, right?
Yeah.
How
So
much you have to contribute, how many people are there, so that we can.
Okay, I'll coordinate and let you know during the week, and I
just
would.
send me a quick update
Sure.
on what the other students are saying, and then I'll give
Yeah,
you
because if there's no other I mean,
No, then I'll
No.
just say that you guys are chipping in.
Yeah, then
If-
we'll just
if that's the
do it
case,
amongst
yeah.
ourselves then.
Sure.
Well, my half is coming from CANIPS, so just get in touch with
All right, already appointment done, and yeah, just take from them, and I've just.
And Yusuf Bhai is here, so if you... I just want you to know he's here, so if you wanted to speak to him...
When I will go and ask him if he will come. That's it.